I don't want to take insulin because it'll kill me. That's what everyone says, right? The bodybuilding community has so many myths around insulin that it's a little wild how little people know. And like there's a lot of coaches that are fantastic coaches with insulin, and honestly they're kind of hard to find. But when it comes to insulin, there's so many bro myths out there that you just gotta watch out for. And I'm going to show you first of all why insulin, out of everything you could take, is probably the safest thing you could take, in my opinion. All right, I'm not your doctor. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just showing you some facts and giving you a few opinions in there. You leave a comment and let me know what you think, if you can be swayed the other way, or if you've had some crazy interactions, right? And like, by crazy interactions, things that you've visibly seen, not you've heard in the gym. Everyone's heard stupid stories in the gym that aren't true. Have you seen something or experienced it yourself? That's what I would like to know. So first of all, it is incredibly hard to take the lethal dose of insulin. It's arguably the most anabolic substance on earth, if you want to do that argument. And there's millions of people that take it every day in different dosages and different forms, fast acting, short acting, long, all this stuff, okay? All these people, and we're acting like it's the most dangerous thing you can take. It's probably not true. All right, so how much is too much? I'm going to tell you guys that. How do you know if you're taking too much? First of all, this is money right here. This is some amazing advice I'm about to give you. Find your calorie and carbohydrate balance first, as in maintenance, right? Then add insulin. Don't add insulin and then add food to it, because you could overshoot your calories. The calories is what matters. It's not like insulin has some kind of magic with the calories. You see what I'm saying? So don't eat for the insulin. Use the insulin for what you eat, all right? And you won't get fat. You shouldn't, unless you're messing it up. Because a lot of guys, what they do is they're on this diet of a maintenance, and then they're like, oh, yo, bro, I'm going to add some insulin in on this. And they're adding 10, 20 IUs a couple times a day. And it's like, oh, man, I'm going hypo, so let's add some more food to it. Well, if your calories were at a maintenance here, and then you took insulin, so it's forcing you to eat more, well, you're not going to get leaner. You're obviously going to get fatter, okay? So you have to understand what you're doing with that. Obviously, you can adjust some macros to help you out, but don't eat for the insulin, all right? Be smart about it. Now, how much does it take to actually kill somebody? We're going to talk about it, because I've even heard on like true crime documentaries where people are like, oh, I should have just filled up the insulin syringe and just stabbed him with the insulin and killed him. Yeah, that's not going to kill him, so you're just going to get arrested for attempted murder. That's... I used to think that too, like, oh, why doesn't someone just kill somebody with insulin? You get away with it. Yeah, if you do it IV in a bag in a hospital, like that nurse that did it to all those people, yeah, you're going to do it. But you can't just stab someone with some insulin and kill them, all right? Most of the time. So this is the point. I nail it home on every video I make about stuff like this, is people are going to tell you to take things that are toxic on your organs and are not approved for human use. I'm talking about steroids, things that are, masculine, virilization side effects, with very little clinical literature on what are safe doses for bodybuilders, right? Nothing really to back up its safety, and all this stuff telling you without a doubt how bad it is for you. They have all that, and they want to tell you to take this stuff that's made in some dude's bathtub before trying Clen or GH or insulin, right? Or even testosterone, like testosterone, insulin, and HGH. Those are the three most studied hormones in existence. But you could look at every study of those all day, every day, and it would take you years to get through all the studies. And then we got Clen on top of it, which is also approved for human use, used all the time. Albuterol, very similar, used all the time. We know the safe dosages. We know the dosages for all this stuff. We know what's safe. We know what's not safe. We know what it does in the short term. We know what it does in the long term. We know how to fix the side effects if you do get the side effects. Steroids, dude, it's a crapshoot, man, especially if you're a female. Like, once you screw up, you can't just fix it. Why would you not, get your testosterone, your estrogen, your progesterone all in order, and then start hitting that muscle building pathway from other angles, like Clen, HGH, insulin? Just saying, what logical sense does that make, right? So, next. What is the lethal dose? As I've showed in my other videos, LD50. So that's the amount of something, a material given all at once, that causes 50% of a group of test animals to die, okay? Now this is a measure for short-term poisoning potential, aka acute toxicity. And most of the time they test this on rats and mice. I've seen rabbits in these studies. I've even seen a couple on chickens in there. So this chart is some LD50s I found. You can look these up. Now these are not, set in stone numbers. All right, you're going to find different numbers depending on the product you're looking at. And a lot of times, if a company buys a product from China, China ships it with a lot of information. Some of the information on that is the LD50. It's going to be different depending on the compound. Okay. This is just to get you thinking outside of the box, what you can maybe expect. Now I have the equivalents over here to a 200-pound person based on the LD50. Like I said, these might even be a little off or a little wrong, but this is just to get you thinking outside of the box, okay? Now, for insulin. So there's a lot of case studies on insulin overdose. I think there's even a couple on attempted murder, like I mentioned, which is very interesting. But and this is from 2015. So the highest reported overdose of insulin is 3,600 IUs. Okay, so this was a 45-year-old male patient with type 2 diabetes and major depression. So obviously it was probably suicide. Admitted to the emergency department with a loss of consciousness after self-administering 3,600 IUs of insulin. Now, that's a ridiculous amount of insulin. Gosh, that's 36 pins, man. If each pin's got 100 IUs in there, I know some pins have 300 if I'm not mistaken. So, man, he was discharged without any permanent complications on the 6th day of hospitalization. So that is a lot of insulin. And I'm sure those 6 days probably sucked. Like, that probably was not fun. I'd say it screwed up a lot of stuff. So if you want to look into this further, go check that out. And I'm sure it'll tell you. But I just wanted you to see, like, 3,600 IUs didn't even kill this dude. Now, this is 4% of the reported LD50, so maybe it does take a lot more, but that just kind of confirms the fact that, like, how the hell are you going to get enough insulin and take it to kill you or kill someone else? Like, 9,000 IUs is what I have up there for, like, the sort of the equivalent. Well, let's say that's way off and it's like half of that, and it's like 40,000, 45,000. Who knows, man? But, like, what I'm saying is 3,000, 4,000 IUs isn't going to kill somebody. Like, how are you going to take that much? And moreover, people are always like, oh man, I don't want to take too much because, I'll pass out or die or kill myself or something. Like, do you realize how many freaking syringes you'd have to fill up all the way to even do what this guy did? You're not going to do it, bro. You're just not going to do it. All right, so this is super interesting. So, doctors who kill themselves, this is a study of the methods they used for their suicide. Doctors are supposed to know everything there's to know about drugs, especially within their field. So if someone's going to kill themselves with a drug, who would have the best idea of how to do that? Probably a doctor, right? So this is looking at 228 cases, and it's telling you what they used for the suicide. So I have 228 people. Now, if you were to ask a bodybuilder how common it would be to use insulin, again, it's this whole like, oh, it'd be so easy, bro. You just fill it up and like you're done. Or like if you want to kill somebody, just fill it up and you're done. Like, no, man, it's just not going to happen. And these doctors realize that. So 228 of them, only 7 of them used it. So that's 3%. And out of the males, 4, female is 3. So like it's pretty even. So like they all know, like, why would you choose that is what I'm saying. And like I think these are successful if I'm not mistaken. Obviously, it sounds like it's actual completed suicide. So 7. But what I'm saying is like the other 200 and some doctors knew that it's probably not going to work. So they choose things like barbiturates, gas, so carbon dioxide. You got opiates on there, a couple different kinds of tranquilizers, anesthetics, even chemicals, even rec drugs. Two dudes chose rec drugs instead of insulin. And like insulin, you can buy it over the counter and they could easily get it. I mean, out of all the things on this list that you could get a prescription for as a doctor from someone else or maybe even yourself, insulin's probably the one. No one's going to ask questions about insulin, right? And only 7 of them chose it. Like, I know this is a very weird thing that was even studied. But like, I think that says a lot right there that like, they're not even choosing it. So, takeaways. It's incredibly hard to take the lethal dose of insulin. All right, I'm not saying it's impossible. Anything's possible, but it's going to be really hard, okay? Now, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, at the bottom, I think I talk about Lantus. But basically, Lantus, the LD50 of Lantus, if you wanted to attempt suicide with Lantus, you would have to take 3 full pins of of Lantus, if I'm not mistaken. That's what it says on the package for it. 3 full pins. So you'd have to crank one out all the way. I think you'd have to do it twice. Do that one. Go get another one. Do that one all the way. Go get a third one and do that one all the way. So, like, you're not going to overdose unless you're doing it on purpose. All right. So, you still need to be aware of how you tolerate the dosages, especially with these rapid and fast acting ones. Titrate up slowly. Hell, talk to your doctor about it if you want to. You know, you probably go the metformin route before you go insulin. But again, I'm just saying, insulin is incredibly safe. Okay. And again, arguably the most anabolic substance on earth. There's plenty of doctors that will agree on this. Some of them don't because they don't fully understand how it's anabolic, but you can definitely make the argument that it is, okay? You have a very good argument for it. Insulin is a fat storage hormone by definition, and this is in the common human for common practice, all right? Insulin has multiple reasons for its use, and insulin, when used strategically and responsibly, has amazing results. It's instrumental in creating new fat cells, all right? So when the body becomes insulin resistant, it tends to store all these extra calories as fat without actually burning them off. So what do you think happens? What it does for an athlete that's burning just abnormally high calories through the day and actually using those carbohydrates? It makes them more efficient and takes work off the pancreas. So that's the whole reason you would take it is once you start really pushing those calories as a bodybuilder and you're using those calories, not getting obese, your pancreas is going to have a lot of work to do. All right. And insulin resistance could be an issue. If you're taking metformin, again, you're going to have less worry about that. But this insulin is just going to be way more efficient at it, man, especially if you're working out and you take some fast-acting insulin before you work out with some carbs. I'm telling you, man, if you know how to do it right, this stuff's pretty crazy. So if you use it strategic and responsibly, it's amazing. Again, find a coach that even if he's not an expert on, you want an expert, but if he's not an expert, at least someone that understands how to do it safely. And then if they don't understand how to do it to the expert level, they're not going to attempt to do it. All right. Like I said, it's super easy to do. And people get in the craziest arguments over insulin and the timing of insulin and how much to use, blah, blah, blah. And like, bodybuilders have no idea what they're talking about most of the time. Good coaches do, but like most bodybuilders in the gym, and if you ask them, I guarantee you have all heard this before. If you ask a bodybuilder, how many carbs should I eat with insulin? Oh, bro, 1 IU of insulin, 10 carbs, man. So if you're taking 10 IUs, you should eat 100 carbs. Like, what? That's just not how it works. Ask any insulin educator, any doctor, look at any literature in a clinical setting. That's just completely made up. We just made that shit up. And I get it, it's sort of like covering your bases. But if you're wondering how many carbs to eat with your insulin, Google this. Google the rule of 15. It's very simple. It talks about, how severe the incident of hypoglycemia is and how many carbs you got to take in. It's not much. Like 50 grams of carbs at the most is really going to help you out and get you through whatever you're going through in the gym. This whole 100 carbs for 10 IUs is like one of the dumbest things I've heard. Like you just don't need to do that, man. And it just shows you how made up this stuff is from bodybuilders, okay? And then again, don't try steroids without trying things like Clen and HGH and insulin and testosterone prescribed from a doctor first. Like when you're talking about muscle building and fat burning, there's all these different angles to hit it from. Why would you just absolutely abuse this one angle of anabolic steroids when you have all this other stuff that's approved for human use? There's clinical literature on it. It's extremely safe. It's hard to overdose on it. You're not going to do anything crazy with it. Why would you not hit all these angles a little bit at a time and build yourself up? Like, there's only so much muscle you can build at once. There's only so much fat you can burn at once. Be smart, man. Be logical with this. Like I said, taking 4% of the reported LD50 of Lantus, this dude was alive. All right, so check out that study and see what you think. And then lastly, like I've said 1,000 times, don't take these crazy drugs that are going to mess you up when we have all this stuff that's safe and like you can actually talk to your doctor about without feeling weird, like Clen and HGH and insulin testosterone. Just, what logical sense does that make? Like, come on, guys. We got to get better at this, man. Thanks for watching. If you guys think I'm way off on this or you have some other opinions on it, please let me know, because I know out of all the things I'm going to talk about between test, Clen, HGH, and insulin is the one that that bodybuilders are just absolutely freaking clueless on. No offense, I'm not picking on you. Like, I was in the same boat. I said the same stuff, man. All the stuff you regurgitate, I used to be the same way. All right, but you gotta learn to grow and learn. And like, this is where it's at. Watching videos like this. So tell me if I helped you out. Subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching.